Question 1. Find the sum of 5.25 times 10 to the 16 and 2 times 10 to the 14. Write your answer in scientific notation. Sum means add, so we need to add these two numbers. The exponents don't match, so we're going to change this one to be a 16, which changes this to be 0.02. We have to move it twice, that's why it's 0.02. This one stays 5.25 times 10 to the 16. Now let's add these numbers and get 5.27 times 10 to the 16. Question 2. Gino's shipping company ships 4.8 times 10 to the 20 gallons of window cleaner every year, while Tina Trucking ships 2.4 times 10 to the 18 gallons of window cleaner every year. How many more gallons of window cleaner are shipped by Gino's than by Tina? Write your answer in scientific notation. How many more means subtract. So we're going to subtract. Let's change this to be 10 to the 20th, which is going to change this to be 0.024. We're not going to change the first number. When we do 4.8 minus 0.024, we're going to do a lot of borrowing. And we get 4.776 times 10 to the 20. Yeah, this is a word problem, so it needs a label. Gallons. And in fact, we're going to say more gallons. Question 3 wants us to subtract. Let's change this to a 17 and this to 0.34. Leave the first number alone. 3.3 minus 0.34 is going to be 2.96 times 10 to the 17. Question 4. Petri dish A has 8.11 times 10 to the 13 bacteria growing in it. Petri dish B has 8.1 times 10 to the 14 bacteria growing in it. Write a number in scientific notation that shows how many more bacteria are growing in the larger colony. How many more means subtract. And when you subtract, you always want to subtract the biggest one minus the smaller one. This is the biggest one because the exponent is bigger. So we're going to do that one, Petri dish B minus Petri dish A. Let's make this exponent a 14, which makes this 0.811. .811 minus 0.811 is 7.289 times 10 to the 14. This is a word problem. It needs a label. It says how many more bacteria. So let's write bacteria. Question 5 wants us to add. Let's change this to an 18 and this to be 0.08. The exponent got too bigger. This number's decimal needs to move twice to make it smaller. Let's add 2.08 and 0.08 and get 2.16 times 10 to the 18. Question 6 wants us to find the difference, and difference means subtract, so 8.8 times 10 to the 18 minus 7.7 times 10 to the 17. Let's make the smaller exponent get bigger, which makes the number out front smaller. Let's do 8.8 minus 0.77. Do some borrowing and get 8.03 times 10 to the 18. Question 7 wants us to find the sum. Sum means add. Let's change the smaller exponent, which is this 12, to be a 13, and make this be 0.81. To add, we just add the numbers. We get 3.51 times 10 to the 13. Question 8. The combined volume of all the tanks at an aquarium is 1.25 times 10 to the 5th gallons. The aquarium plans to install a new dolphin tank with a volume of 250,000 gallons. What will be the total volume of all the tanks at the aquarium after the new dolphin tank is installed? So they're adding this many gallons to the tank that's already that many gallons. So we need to add these numbers. This will be much easier to do if both the numbers are in scientific notation. So that one already is. This one is going to be 2.5 times 10 to the 5. Hey, look at that. They're already matching exponents. So all we have to do is just add 2.5 plus 1.25. And that gives us 3.75 times 10 to the 5th gallons. Choice B. Question 9. Solve for x. The first thing we need to do is we need to distribute this 5. So we get negative 7x plus 30x minus 45 equals 4x plus 126. After we distribute, next thing we need to do is combine like terms. Over here we have a 30x minus a 7x, that's going to be 23x minus 45 equals 4x plus 126. Remember, when you have variables on both sides, you want to move the smaller variable that avoids negative. So let's do minus 4x to both sides. And we're going to get 19x minus 45 equals 126. Next step is to get everything away from the x by doing plus 45 to both sides. We're going to get 19x equals 171. If we divide both sides by 19, we're going to get our answer, which is 9. Question 10. Let's start by combining like terms on each side. Nothing to do over here. But on this side we have 9 minus 10, which is negative 1. We have variables on both sides. Let's move this negative 12c since that's the smaller one. We could do plus 12c to both sides. We'll get 9c plus 26 equals negative 1. Then we do minus 26 to both sides and we get 9c equals negative 27. Divide both sides by 9. We get c equals negative 3. Question 11. Let's start by combining like terms. Over here we have 8 and 0.1, so that's going to be positive 8.1. When you have variables on both sides, you want to move the smaller one that avoids negatives. So let's do, sorry, there should be a y there. Let's do plus 0.06y to both sides. That'll cancel that. We'll be left with 8.1 equals 0.7y plus 7.61. Now we got to get everything away from this y, so let's do minus 7.61 to both sides. And we get 0.49. Last step is to divide by 0.7. And we get y equals 0.7. Question 12. Let's start by distributing here. 11a plus 144 equals negative 9a minus 32a plus 40, because a negative times a negative is a positive. We have some combining like terms to do over here. Negative 9a minus 32 more a is going to be negative 41a. There's variables on both sides. This is the smaller one. Let's move it. Plus 41a to both sides. We're going to get 52a plus 144 equals 40. 40, subtract 144 from both sides. We get 52a equals negative 104. Divide by 52 to both sides, and we get a equals negative 2. Question 13. Let's start by distributing here. 0.4p. Negative 1 times negative 3p is plus 3p. Negative 1 times 0.4 is negative 0.4. Over here there's some like terms we can combine. 3p plus 0.4 is 3.4p minus 0.4 equals 0.4p minus 1.3. There's variables on both sides. Let's move this one because it's smaller. Here we're going to get, when we subtract that, we get 3p minus 0.4 equals negative 1.3. Let's add 0.4 to both sides. We're going to get 3p equals negative 0.9. We divide both sides by 3. We get p equals negative 0.3. Question 14, first thing we should do is distribute. Negative 12 times negative 4 is positive 48k. Negative 12 times negative 10 is positive 120. Over here we got some like terms to combine. That's going to be 53k. When there's variables on both sides, move the smaller one. That's this. So plus 3k to that side, plus 3k to this side. And you get 56k plus 120 equals 624. Next step is to do minus 120 to both sides and get 56k equals 504. And divide both sides by 56. And the answer to this is probably 8. Let me double check. Oh, whoops, 9. K is 9. Question 15, we should start by distributing. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times negative 12 is negative 72. Over here we got some like terms to combine. That'll be 55z. I'm doing my best to make the z not look like a 2. That's a z. That's a z. There's variables on both sides. Let's move this one. It's smaller. We're going to get negative 7 equals 65z minus 72. If we add 72 to both sides, we're going to get 65z equals 65. Divide by 65 to both sides, and we get z equals 1. Question 16, let's start by combining like terms over here. Negative 1.4 plus 2 is going to be 0.6. There's variables on both sides. Let's move this one because it's smaller. 0.8 is smaller than 1. So let's do minus 0.08 to both sides, minus 0.08e. We get 0.6 equals, this is 1. 1e minus 0.8 is 0.2e. Let's move this 0.44 by doing minus that to both sides. And we get 0.2e equals 0.16. When we divide both sides by 0.2, we get 0.8 as an answer. Question 17 wants us to reflect UVWT across the line y equals 1. y equals 1 is a line that hits the y-axis at 1. The y-axis is right here, and 1 is right here. Our line is right here, which makes things nice. When we go to reflect, U and V don't move. They're on the line. W is 2 below, so now it's 2 above. That'll be W prime. This will be V prime. This will be U prime. T is 1, 2, 3 below, so now it's 1, 2, 3 above. Our shape, when connected, looks like that. Question 18 says, describe a transformation on the unshaded triangle, so we're starting with this one, that would create the shaded triangle. So this shape turned into this shape, obviously with a reflection, but we need to be specific. Where did it flip across? So this point and this point are 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So the mirror has to be halfway between those 4 squares. 1, 2. Halfway between would be this line right here. So we're going to say that this reflected across. This line hits the x-axis, so it's x equals -1. Question 19 wants us to reflect MLN across the line y equals 3. Y equals 3 is right here. This is another problem where the line of reflection is right through the shape. That makes things a little easier. N and L will not move. M is going to be, instead of 2 above, it's going to be 2 below. M prime is right there. L prime, N prime. Our reflection looks like that. Question 20 wants us to reflect TNS across x equals 1. We need to go to the x-axis, which is right here. We need to go to 1, which is right here. We need to draw our mirror through the 1 on the x-axis. T doesn't move because it's on the mirror. S is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's now 5 to the left. N is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now it's 8 to the left. Let's connect them. We have our shape reflected across x equals 1. Question 21 wants us to plot triangle DFG using the points -4, 0, which is right here, D. F, which is -1, 3, which is right here. And G is -2, -5, which is right there. Oops, it's not prime, it's just plain old G. Let's connect these points. Oops, that was a terrible line. This is what I get for not using a ruler. Better. Alright, and then it says reflect across the y-axis. Well, this is the y-axis. So now we need to reflect this shape. F is 1 to the left. Now it's 1 to the right. D is 4 to the left, so now it's going to be 4 to the right. And G is 2 to the left, so it's going to be 2 to the right. Let's see if I can connect these without a ruler better than the first time. Ugh. There, that's better. If I shade it, it won't be so noticeable. All right. Question 22 wants us to reflect this across the line y equals -2, which is right here. I know that's the mirror because this line hits the y-axis at -2. A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above. It needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below. G is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above. It needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below. E is 1, 2, 3 above. 1, 2, now it's 3 below. C is 1, 2, 3 above. Now it needs to be 1, 2, 3 below. Let's connect them. All right. Question 23, describe a transformation on the unshaded parallelogram that would create the shaded parallelogram. So this is the starting one, this is the ending one. It's obviously a reflection because it flipped over. Let's use this point and this point, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 away. If those points are 8 away, then the mirror must be halfway between them, which is 4 away. 1, 2, 3, 4. The line of reflection is this line right here. This line that I just drew hits the x-axis at 1. So we need to say that it reflected across x equals 1. Question 24, plot triangle BGT. B is 1, 1. G is 2, 5. T is 3, 1. Then it says reflected across the line x equals -1, which is right here. This line hits the x-axis at -1. So let's reflect. This is 2 to the right. Let's make it 2 to the left. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3. G is 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. Let's make it 3 to the left. Let's connect them, and we have our shape reflected. Question 25. Order of operations, simplify completely. Let's start with the exponent here. 4 to the third is 64. Let's bring everything else down. Next up is the multiplication. 3 times 7 is 21. Oops. When you only have addition and subtraction left, you just go left to right. 22 minus 21 is 1. 1 plus 64 is 65. Question 26, simplify completely. When you have brackets and parentheses, you work your way from the inside out. So let's only do what's inside the parentheses first. And inside the parentheses, we have subtraction and multiplying. So we need to multiply first. Let's bring everything else down that we didn't use. We still have parentheses here, so 8 minus 14 is a -6. The parentheses are done. The brackets are not. Let's do the brackets now. -6 minus 11 is a -17. 3/4 of -17 is 12 3/4, 12.75. This is negative. And then the last step here is to do 47 minus 12 3/4, which is 34.25. Question 27. When we have a fraction like this, we do the entire top, then we do the entire bottom, and then our last step is to divide. So our top is 12 minus 6 times 5, which is 12 minus 30, which is -18. And our bottom is 7 minus 8 in parentheses squared. 7 minus 8 is -1. -1 squared is +1. So our problem is really -18 divided by 1, which is -18. Question 28, order of operations. Let's start with the multiplying. 3.5 times 8 is 28. Let's bring everything else down. Hey, we just have addition and subtraction left, so let's just go left to right. -19 plus 28 is 9. And 9 minus 17.4 is -8.4. Question 29 wants us to evaluate. That just means use the order of operations to simplify. These bars are called absolute value, and we treat them just like parentheses, but also when we're done, we make our answer positive inside. So 10 minus 3, -10 minus 3, plus 9 times 8 is 72. 7 minus 72 is -65. So remember, these bars, the absolute value, makes the answer positive, so it's -10 minus 3 plus 65. Now we just go left to right. Negative 10 minus 3 is negative 13. And negative 13 plus 65 is 52. Question 30, we got two sets of parentheses to do here. 7 minus 2 is 5 to the third. And 3 minus 11 is negative 8 squared. I left this in parentheses because when you square this, you need to square the 8 and also the negative. If you don't type that on your calculator, you're going to get the wrong answer. 5 to the third is 125. Times 4 is still there. Negative 8 squared is positive 64, but then there's a minus sign there anyway, so it's a minus 64. 125 times 4 is 600. 500, sorry, 500. And 500 minus 64 is 436. Question 31, let's do this first and this first. Negative 9.5 times 8.2 is negative 77.9. And 4 times 6.6 is 26.4. And then we just need to add those. Negative 77.9 plus 26.4 is negative 51.5. Question 32, let's do the parentheses first. 5 minus 11 is negative 6. Now let's do this exponent here. 3 to the negative third, or 3 to the third is 27. Now we have two multiplying problems to do here. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48. And 15 times 27 is 405. And then when we combine those, we get 405 minus 48, which is 357. Question 33 wants us to dilate YZA with a scale factor of 2. All these points, all the numbers involved have to be multiplied by 2. So y used to be negative 3, negative 1. Now it's going to be negative 6, negative 2. I doubled everything here because I was multiplying by 2. That times 2 is that. That times 2 is that. So negative 6, negative 2 is right there. A used to be 2, negative 2. Now it's going to be, multiply that both of those numbers by 2, and we get 4, negative 4. And Z used to be, that's going to be right in the way. Z used to be 4, 2. Now it's going to be 8, 4. If we multiply both those numbers by 2, we get 8, 4, which is right there. I told you it was going to be in the way. Let's connect them. Ooh. Really wish I had a ruler. And we have a shape that is twice as big as the original. Don't forget your primes on your labels. Question 34 wants to know what happened to the shaded triangle to turn it in the unshaded triangle. Well, it got bigger, so we know that it's a dilation. This point used to be 1, 0, and now it's 4, 0. So 1 times what is 4? Well, it must be 4. So we dilated with a scale factor of 4. Question 35 wants us to dilate this with a scale factor of 2. So E used to be 0, 1. We multiply everything by 2, we're going to get 0, 2, which is right there. C used to be 1, 1. We multiply everything by 2, we're going to get 2, 2. G used to be negative 1, 3. If we multiply everything there by 3, or 2, I mean, we're going to get negative 2, 6. And A used to be 2, 3, but if we multiply everything by 2, we're going to get 4, 6, which is right there. If we connect this all, let me be careful here. You see we end up with a shape that's twice as big as the original, and it slightly grew more to the right because there were more points on the right. There were points farther away from the origin on the right. Question 36 wants us to plot triangle MRS. M is negative 4, negative 5, M. R is 1, 2, right there. S is 6, negative 3, right there. If we connect these, ugh, I am not good at connecting dots today. That's better. All right, and this is dilate with a scale factor of 1/2. So all of the numbers here that you see need to be multiplied by 1/2. So M prime is going to be negative 2, negative 2.5. That times 1/2 and that times 1/2, which is right there. R prime is going to be 1/2 of 1, which is 1/2, and 1/2 of 2, which is 1. So we need to go over 1/2 and up 1. That's right there. And S, both these numbers need to be multiplied by 1/2. So 1/2 of 6 is 3, and 1/2 of negative 3 is negative 1.5. So over 3 and down to negative 1.5 right there. If we connect these, we should end up with a shape that is 1/2 as big as the original. Perfect. Question 37 wants us to multiply, well, a scale factor of 1/2 means we need to multiply all these points, numbers by 1/2. So M used to be 2, 5, so now it's going to be 1/2 of 2 is 1, and 1/2 of 5 is 2.5. 1, 2.5. M prime is right there. L used to be 1, 3. If we cut both those numbers in half, we get 0.5, 1.5, which is right there. And N used to be negative 1, 3. Now it's going to be negative 1/2, 1.5, negative 1/2, 1.5. The triangle was already small to begin with, so if we cut it in half, it's going to be pretty tiny. There we go. Question 38 wants to know what happened to the unshaded parallelogram to create the shaded parallelogram. It shrunk, so we know it's a dilation. What do we have to multiply by to make this point smaller? Let's look at this point. Over 6 up 2. 6, 2 is what that point used to be. And now it's 3, 1. Both those numbers got 1/2 as big. So the scale factor must have been 1/2. Question 39 wants us to plot the quadrilateral. Negative 1, 1, R, 1, 2, F. E is 1, negative 1. T is negative 1, negative 2, T. So we have a parallelogram, a quadrilateral that's actually a parallelogram. And then it says scale factor of 3. So every single number here, there's 8 of them. They all need to be multiplied by 3. So R prime is going to be negative 3, 3. F prime is going to be 3, 6. E prime is 3, negative 3. T prime is negative 3, negative 6. So if I plot all these, we'll end up with a shape that is 3 times as big. What do you know? There it is, 3 times as big. Remember, I just got all these points by multiplying every number here by 3 because that's what the scale factor was. Question 40. If this parallelogram was dilated with a scale factor of 6, which point below would be part of the new image? So let's see. This point used to be 1, 0, right? Yeah, 1, 0. And if I multiply that by 6, I'd get 6, 0. That's not a choice. This point used to be 4, 0, and if I multiply that by 6, I would get 24, 0. Hey, that's a choice. This point used to be 3, 2, and if I multiply 3 and 2 by 6, I would get 18, 12. That's not a choice. And this one's 0, 2, and if I multiply that by 6, I'd get 0, 12. Which is not a choice. None of these points are listed here except for point choice C, point 24, 0. Question 41 wants us to translate to the right 5 and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. B prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. U prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Connect them in the same order with a ruler, please, and you get the same shape, just moved over. 42 wants us to plot triangle ABC. A is 2, -1. A. B is -1, -3. B. C is 0, 2. C. Then it wants us to translate to the left 4 and up 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And we have triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Question 43 wants us to tell how did the unshaded triangle turn into the shaded triangle? Well, it didn't flip, it didn't spin, it didn't get bigger or smaller, so we know it's a translation. So now how far did it move? Well, let's look at this point. It moved to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it moved up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's check that again. And up 7. Translation to the left 8 and up 7. Question 44 wants us to translate down 7 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Connect. We have the same shape, just moved down. Question 45 wants us to move it to the right 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Done. Question 46. If this parallelogram was translated to left 3 and up 1, which point would be part of the new image? Left 3, up 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. So now we just need to see which choice here is listed. 1, 3 is right here. No. 1, -1 is right here. It could be that one. 1, 2 is right here. No. And -2 is right there. So the only one that works is choice B. 47. Translate GACE to the left 2 and up 2. Left 2, up 2. Left 2, up 2. Left 2, up 2. Left 2, up 2. Question 48. Translate MLN to the right 2 and down 9. Right 2, down 9. Right 2, down 9. Right 2, down 9. Connect, and we have our new image.